Welcome to Gavinchi TV's first review room, where here we're going to look at a little gem called Space Otter Charlie. Let's start with the story to begin with and see what this game is all about. With the advances of technology in the future, the human race has left the planet Earth due to overpopulation and global warming in search for a new home, leaving everything behind, and the otters quickly come to the same realization, deciding to follow the human race in their footsteps. The game's intro is presented to us through a variety of different slides, explaining the events through missteps and success in rather comical fashion, leading us to where the actual game takes place in space. This extraterrestrial adventure is led by our protagonist Charlie with the assistance of Ada and Jessie throughout, taking us to a variety of locations to ultimately find a new home for the otters and sea mammal friends. The story is one of note, and although the comedy is great primarily through text conversations, it's mainly about survival and the steps that the otters will take, plus the amount learnt through artifacts and data files along the adventure is quite surprising, immersing the player into the otter's plight, delivering a story that lasts roughly 4 to 6 hours depending on skill. That's really quite simple, sweet, yet captivating till the very end. Yet it all starts with a training course to bring the player up to speed and in tune with the fundamentals. Energy items and objects that can be interacted with, leading to the first big stage which opens up in a big way. Stages are essentially mini Metroidvanias packed with secrets and items all over the place, almost begging you to go off the beaten path, and after obtaining each of the stage's maps, exploration is highly encouraged for the benefits that may prove to be essential down the line. Everything is determined from the central otter ship, the raft, which is essentially a hub with key stages clearly labelled along with context from Ada, provides us with a path ahead that is always clear, with specific stage goals easily accessed from the menu, plus extra additional stages can also be located and unlocked constantly over the course of the campaign as well, granting a fantastic level of player control and choice as to where to proceed next. Over the course of the campaign, the player will have to deal with a variety of enemy types and boss encounters to different elemental physics such as force and fire. Abilities and weapon types also increase and upgrade, with clear explanations making sure the player understands said mechanics, with every collectible always having some form of purpose which is apparent much later on in the campaign. So if you see a collectible, make sure to collect that collectible. The design of level layouts and structures, objectives and goals is very clear. It's easy to see that the developers really put a lot of hard work and effort into Space Otter Charlie, as everything is methodically placed and identified with such clarity, making life and a gameplay experience much better for the players, so overall design is definitely deserving of praise. Now the gameplay is where Space Otter Charlie shines through brightest, and what really sets it apart from similar games in the genre. The whole game is essentially in zero gravity, where you have to use a jetpack to traverse everywhere, presenting the player with a dynamic control scheme that's fun to use, yet difficult to master. Over time you'll naturally find yourself becoming quite skilled controlling Charlie's movements, due to the varied gameplay scenarios the player faces, and with time to reach that higher level of skill is ever so satisfying. Each new puzzle type you come across along the campaign typically provides something new, requiring you to think about every situation carefully, and capitalises on the full capabilities of Charlie's arsenal of weapons and abilities as you progress, really getting the most out of every situation. From a standard laser, reflector beams to rocket launchers complete with a kickback, there's plenty of weapons to choose from, with each new outfit proving to be a must requirement, as they're not just for cosmetic appeal, as each come with their own unique weapon type. When I play a video game, to me it's always about how it feels, and to put it simply, Space Otter Charlie feels great to play. Despite being in zero gravity, Charlie doesn't feel too heavy or too light. Reaction times from button inputs are precise and responsive, whether playing on the controller or the mouse and keyboard. The game runs at a constant smooth pace, and I never encountered any frame dips, glitches or crashes, and with loading times at a rapid level resulted in a gameplay experience I found myself fully immersed in. Gameplay overall is where Space Otter Charlie really excels, as although it's a mini Metroidvania of sorts which was enough at first to grab my attention, it's the control scheme that felt fresh, new and innovative that's simple enough to pick up and play, though to really get the hang of presents the player with a most rewarding experience, which wasn't an easy feat to achieve, and it's very unlikely you'll encounter another game really quite like it. So before we get to the final verdict, let's have a quick look at the presentation, as it's what initially draws players in and nowadays can make or break a game. Space Otter Charlie uses a full range of vibrant colours, making the game stand out that's very pleasing to the eye. Character designs look great down to subtle details, effects and animations, with each of the stages sharing a specific kind of look and feel, yet are differentiated by a varied colour palette, meaning you're never staring at the same themes for too long as you progress through the campaign. Sound effects are crisp, on point and fit each scenario perfectly, from subtle screeches from Charlie with each blow. Weapon types have their own distinct sounds to varied noises from different enemy types and bosses, with a musical soundtrack that I very much enjoyed. It's almost a kind of dance, techno-like space vibe which fits the setting, from a subtle unique score early on with general exploration, which increases with intensity depending on the current circumstances. In all, the overall presentation from Space Otter Charlie is very impressive and suits the type of game perfectly, especially for a release that's aimed at all ages, proving to be aesthetically pleasing, drawing in younger audiences yet appealing to the older generation at the same time, really ticking all the right boxes. In conclusion, Space Otter Charlie provides us with a fresh, new, innovative and enjoyable experience, with the zero-G gravity mechanic, and its overall design presents its own unique spin on the Metroidvania genre that's a delight for all ages, with a gameplay feel you don't come across every day. It also has a multiplayer aspect and a level of replayability for those seeking 100%. Though if I had anything negative to say, I just wish it was a little bit longer, but for such a low and affordable price tag you're definitely getting your money's worth in an experience that delivers. Space Otter Charlie is out now on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, and this little indie puzzle platformer is a gem and is awarded 9 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching the video, and if you are indeed curious about Space Otter Charlie, even in the slightest, then be certain to give it a go, and I'm sure you'll be as pleasantly surprised as I was. I just want to take a moment to give a big shout out and a thank you to the developer Wayward and the publisher the Quantum Astrophysicists Guild for an early access code, as I couldn't be more humbled and honoured for the fact that you sought me out. This is Gavinchi signing off, and remember to stick with me as I'll be bringing new videos to you soon. Take care now, and I'll see you next time.